Now, the Gen Z protests, even as you give me your opinion, they said we are leaderless, we are partyless, we are tribeless. So they had no structure. And they kept on saying, if you want to talk to us, you talk to all of us. We are not sending you a leader.
Sure.
Because those seem to be the structures that's where we are heading to now. So what do you think are some of the challenges of such structures? I know you've talked about communication challenges and things like that.
We got some, I'll call them victims or survivors, people who didn't have hopes. And through our organizing, we got some partners who came through, gave them some little seeds, like just something for them for startup businesses. And also, to some extent, we got people who got houses. They were built some structures to start their lives. As I'm talking today, they are good business women outside there doing very good work, and children are back to school. And even as organization from where I come from, it has also made us, as I'm saying now, it has given us a lot of visibility.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Resist and Reimagine, brought to you by Andrea. In this episode, we'll be exploring a very crucial topic. We'll be discussing decentralized community-led organizing. Now, feminist activists in East Africa and beyond are facing increased challenges because they're facing censorship, there's shrinking civic spaces, and a very regressive pushback on gender rights brought about by the anti-rights movement. Despite these challenges, women's rights movements are not only surviving, but they're thriving through this decentralized community organizing and horizontal organizing models. For instance, there is a rise of community crowdfunding that has been very instrumental in rallying financial support during crisis, and we'll actually look at all these things. Additionally, collaborations with service providers for legal aid and mental health resources are proving to be very crucial support for the different networks. Now, these mechanisms are definitely invaluable, not just for activists already in the field, but also for inspiring and equipping others considering such roles. So that's just a brief about what we will be discussing today. Majorly, just to give you a background, decentralized movements are very powerful because they operate without a strict hierarchy, giving everyone in the movement a voice and a role. Now, this horizontal approach allows activists to quickly adapt and respond to challenges and engage with communities directly. In many African countries, such as South Sudan, Kenya, and others, where formal civic spaces are restricted, informal networks and community pop-ups are providing a safe way for feminists to organize and advocate for women's rights. One of the key advantages of decentralized organizing is flexibility. Now, by working in informal structures, activists can mobilize quickly when there's a crisis and engage communities directly. It also fosters resilience, as these movements aren't tied to a single leader or centralized point of control. So today, I'm very happy because we'll be hearing from a community mobilizer who is at the forefront of these efforts, using community-centered strategies to drive change in constrained environments. She is going to share with us a wide range of knowledge, but I'll allow her to introduce herself so that I don't do a disservice. Karibu, and thank you for joining us. Please tell us who you are, who is this beautiful lady here, what do you do? Give us a background.
Thank you so much. And I'm very happy to be here today. My name is Sarah Dafala. I come from Kibra, Nairobi. I am a feminist and a human rights defender, majorly on gender issues. And on that, I do a lot of advocacy about women and girls empowerment. I also do legal issues, and on that I advocate, and I also stand in for women and girls in mainstreaming gender norms. And I'm also sitting in court as one of the members in the Court Users Committee, majorly to see that they get justice, and also to see that they get representatives to represent them when they are getting the justice. That is mainly Sarah Dafala.
Thank you so much for that, Sarah. Now, you've talked a lot about the legal aid and what you do around helping women get justice.
Yes.
And we'll come to that. So you do this directly. You approach them directly. There's no hierarchy. Any woman who is aggrieved can come directly to you. You don't have any particular hierarchy. So could you share with us how this decentralized approach has really helped in organizing around some of these feminist causes that you do? Maybe what are some of the benefits that you've experienced firsthand?
Yes, decentralization has really given us powers as grassroots women. It has brought us a lot of empowerment and also to express ourselves and also to reach where we thought we could not reach. So we have powers to take over some of the how do I put it? For instance, like now, Feminists for Peace and Right Justice Center, we are looking for donors or well-wishers to come through to say that we get a structure where we can be hosting women. Last time, we got a lot of problem when women were swept off by rains, and it was really chaotic and a very sad time for women because the women were all over. They were raped. They were violence was so many on women's side. So we have a very small structure which is temporary, and we were putting there so many women. So as we were putting them in that structure, just to see that they can eat, clothe, and maybe keep warm, because also women are very exposed to many diseases. So people came through, and we'll say we always appreciate. We got some food donations, we got clothing, and even some girls went back to school. But now we don't have the structure. And now, as I'm here, this is another opportunity also for people who will listen and maybe will want to join us in that cause. They can come visit us and see the structure, and that is how we get our donors.
I think that's very, very powerful. And seeing as how you're saying it, it means that there is you're not using the traditional structures. You talked about not going with the donor restrictions. So it really means that you don't have any horizontal structure, you don't have any traditional hierarchies, but this could be having some challenges as well. So what are some of these challenges of not being in a horizontal structure? What are some of the challenges that you have approached, and how do you normally coordinate yourselves when you don't have the traditional hierarchies of knowing that this is our leader and this is how we approach it? So if a woman has an issue, they go through this person and then they go through that person, the normal bureaucracies. So when you don't have those traditional structures, you don't have those hierarchies, how do you coordinate these things? And how do you manage when you're collaborating with other traditional organizations who have these structures and they must use these structures and those restrictions, especially when you have limited resources like the ones you've just mentioned?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's quite a challenge because people look at us like people, they don't know what they're doing. So even understanding us is quite problematic for people to really get to know what we are doing. So for them, they always see the good side or the end side of it after maybe we've got people who have come to visit. But it is not really easy. And I'll also say we are working on that, because reaching anyone from the team, and maybe not all of us are good in communication, so it is also a challenge, and that is why we are also praying so much and also working on it, that we can get people who can come through and see us through the capacity building of different fields, so that we can also have that structure of also how to get to communicate our needs to other people. Maybe that will also bring us more of funding and also more of people to understand of what we are doing. But currently we are just everywhere. But somehow also working with so many people, there are people with different passions, and that is where we've been relying on. So there are people who love children, and they can do very good work on mentorship, and those people, we've placed them with children. There are people like me, I love working with survivors of sexual violence, and that is where my line of duty is. There's my ED, who is very passionate on organizing for everyone, at least to get some resources on the field you are doing. So she's all over, because it is quite tiresome for her, but because she's working with people who don't have capacity of different fields, and we are hoping one day, one time, she will get to get the resources and capacity and people to come and capacity build us, so that we can work on what maybe the world want it. But for now, we are just there.
Sarah, tell me, allow me to steer you off just a bit.
Yes.
But we're talking about these structures that are not very traditional. We had the Gen Z protests.
Yes.
And I know you were also right in the heat of it. And a lot of women were, of course, casualties from the various people who were injured by the scuffle with the police officers and all these things. Those who were displaced, the tear gas, etc. Now, the Gen Z protests, even as you give me your opinion, they said we are leaderless, we are partyless, we are tribeless. So they had no structure. And they kept on saying, if you want to talk to us, you talk to all of us. We are not sending you a leader.
Sure.
What do you think about such structures? Because those seem to be the structures that's where we are heading to now. So what do you think are some of the challenges of such structures? I know you've talked about communication challenges and things like that, but what could be some of the others? Because I know you use a similar approach when you're also going to rescue the survivors.
It is a big challenge, and from the Gen Z's protest, we saw at some point it worked, and we failed. I'll say we failed, because one, even when people wanted to come and get their opinions, what was really, they wanted to understand why did we, the Gen Zs had to go to the street. They wanted to really know the issue. But for sure, there was nobody to come out and speak. And that one, it didn't carry water to people who wanted to come to support the Gen Zs. Because as we were saying, people were saying we were leaderless, we don't have any structure. I saw it was a little of a problem. Because for sure, whenever you want something, and that is a very big lesson to learn, we need to have some people to lead us. And when they lead us, they should be having a lot of knowledge about what we want, the objective of the cause of what you want to be aired, you want to bring out, you want to support. So having that, it is a problem. And that is why, like Feminist Peace and Right Justice Center, we are really working on this. And maybe next time when we sit in this platform, we shall have a full structure of whom you can contact and who to come and speak on certain issues. But for now, we are still in that level of working on that.
Traditional hierarchy.
Yes.
All right. Now, being that you work majorly at the grassroots,
yes,
and you have a lot of informal networks from what you have told us. Now, how do you see this adapting and growing to ensure that the voices in all communities, including the rural areas, are heard and empowered? Because one of the things that the anti-rights movement does is there's a lot of marginalization. So when the anti-rights movement is rising, there's a lot of marginalization and decentralization of a lot of areas. And so those who are already marginalized in the rural areas will feel even more marginalized. So how do you see them adapting and growing to ensure that the voices from all communities through these structures that you have talked of are working? Because you've talked of not using the restrictions that are set, not using the hierarchies that are there, not using the structures that everyone else uses. How can they adapt this?
I feel we should have inclusion of everyone.
Okay. How do we do that?
And by doing that is to do a lot of awareness, sensitization, and also to bring people to forums to speak. We start by we go by villages. This, like grassroots, we have all the time, and we mingle with these people every day. So I think it is just a matter of having forums and dialogues. We speak on issues that affect us. Then we get from that dialogue, we get people who can proceed with the discussion to another level. And by doing that, we'll get people who will represent us, and that is how we shall get the structures of people to be presented in different areas.
All right. Now, you've been in this field for quite some time, a lot of years. You've seen a lot of things. I mean, you've shared with us about how you were struggling to fit in some of the women when there were floods. Now, through this, can you share a success story where your community-driven leadership has led to some significant change in your area? Is there that story that to date you tell yourself, we did it?
Yes, we have quite of them. And the one which is recently, I can say, during floods, we got I'll call them victims or survivors, people who didn't have hopes. And through our organizing, we got some partners who came through, gave them some little seeds, like just something for them for startup businesses. And also, to some extent, we got people who got houses. They were built some structures to start their lives. And as I'm talking today, they are good business women outside there doing very good work. And children are back to school. And even as organization from where I come from, it has also made us, as I'm saying now, it has given us a lot of visibility. So in that people come all over, not even in Kibra, but all over Nairobi, even far from Nairobi, let's say the whole country. People see us as role models, see us as people who can help them. And this one has really helped us. And I'll say it makes us work even more, because going to someone knocks at someone's door, someone who had nothing, someone who has even lost hope, they are in that situation of suicidal, but now you see happiness in their faces. They wake up early morning, they go to market, buy their things, come and sell them, and even they are our customers. So only that, because they bring us even gifts. Whenever they go to market, they'll always say, Sara, you helped us. I don't know what I'll pay you, but take this one. And for sure, you just see that person is now somewhere. So this one has really given us a lot of love. And it is a good success story, because nobody saw that like it will happen. But for us, we know, and the survivors, and even the community, they know where we removed those people. So it is something we are proud of, and we'll also want other people to adapt it, maybe from, maybe our problem is not someone else's problem. But from that, I know it can help other people from other areas. So we should always have hope, and don't look at big monies, because as we started with 10,000, as we grow, and now these people, there are even people who have wholesales out of the 10,000. So it is really working, and it has made us proud.
I was going to ask the lessons you've learned, but I think you've already shared that. So as we wrap up, I just want to hear from you two things. One, how do you involve persons with disabilities when you're community organizing? Because I know sometimes when you're rallying the community behind a certain cause and that, like we said, the structures are not there, how do you reach these people? How do they get to, because you talked about inclusivity, how do you get to bring them on board? How do you do this organizing when you don't have a leader in where you can say that in this area we must talk to this chief, who will talk to this person, who will talk to this person, the bureaucracies? How do you get them involved?
Yes, as a feminist organization, we make sure we have all of them. One, we are all over. We do in organization. We come from all the corners of Kibra. So when we sit down and say we want to support or we want to work with such people, it is every village that you bring the most vulnerable person. So in that, if we decide we have to talk to women today, so you bring women that you see this, they are needy. They need our time. So from that is where we organize and get. And if in case we don't get a person with disability, elderly, sick people, what we do, that is when we come back to the drawing table and we ask ourselves, yes, we reached this target, but again, we missed people like ABCD. So we go back and also look for them. And when we get them, they are now our ambassadors to others, because reaching them also, it is a bit of work. One, they don't trust anyone. So we get to get some of them who are in love with what we are doing, and it is them that bring them. So in our organization, we have people with disability that are volunteers in the organization. We also have the key population, the LGBTQI. We also have the marginalized, and like me, in my organization, I'm coming from the Nubian tribe. And in fact, from Nubian tribe, we are people who don't speak of what are the violences that come from the religion aspect. So I am there also to air it out, being I'm also part of the leadership of the Muslim women. So when I go there and speak it out, also Muslim and women from my tribe get to know Allah, kumbe we are missing somewhere. And that is how we bring them to the board.
And it's interesting that you talk about and just sharing with them that your voice matters. Now, we have had the strength and adaptability of decentralized organizing. Feminist movements are proving that there is power in community-driven leadership, just as we've had, and in creating spaces where everyone's voice matters. Just as she said, the Muslim women then say, okay, so there's somewhere we are missing. What are your closing remarks? What are your final words to anybody that is listening? Anyone that wants to start an organization, anyone that wants to mobilize at the grassroots level? How do they do it? Do they have to have a structure where they now need to start with the chief or the village elder and then come and have an executive director and then have the PA to the executive director, and then how do they do it? Because you've been successful without having all these structures and all these hierarchies. How have you done it? What would be your final remarks?
Yes, and I will encourage more women to come out, to come and support fellow women, because for the longest time we were left behind, not because we are not educated, but the gender roles that women were given by those ancestors, which we don't know where they are now. But let them come out and support us. Because I'll say, don't go through the NGO structures, because if you go that way, it will drain you from the word start, and maybe it will discourage you. First come, make use of the community and the passion you have. What are you going to bring to these women? And come listen to them. What can they build on what you've come with? And from there, you start. And after starting, that is when, because we need money from those donors, however much we don't want their restriction, we need to have the structures. But when you have the structure, have it in mind. whom are you going to disseminate the information to? So you have to sit with the community. First of all, from all that, it is your passion that will drive you. Don't just come because you see there's chance and opportunity from the community. Come with passion. What are you going to bring to the community? Then look for people who have the same mind like yours. Then from there, you can continue.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Sarah. If you're interested in joining or supporting these movements, just remember that your role matters. And no matter how small it may seem, your role matters. She talked about people having different passions. If you have a passion for children, there's something for you. If you have a passion for support victims, there's something for you. If you've got a passion for cooking, there's something for you. Now, decentralized movements thrive on collective action, resilience, and the power of community ownership. So if you have that passion, come out. Let's have this community ownership. Feminists for Peace, Rights and Justice Center is on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we will tag their organization here on the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to Andaria's channel for more discussion on feminist activism. And if you're ready to take action, find ways to connect to the grassroots movements that are around you, that are in your area, because together we can resist, reimagine, and continue fighting for a just world. My name is Ruth Bolo. I have been your host. Thank you so much for joining us.